Ian, look at this.
What, it's a police box. What on earth is he doing here? I mean, these things are usually on the street. I feel it. Feel it, you feel it?
Faint vibration.
It's alive.
Earth Station Who, a fun mashup exploring over 60 years of the Doctor Who universe. Hold on tight, you never know where the crew of the TARDIS is going next.
Hey there, Whovians, and welcome to the first official episode of 2025. That's right, we're back, your friends from Earth Station Who, and we've got going back to the Tom Baker era. That's right, folks. We are looking at the Masque of Mandragora, or however they want to say it. Everyone said it so differently in this episode. It was so funny.
Mandragora.
Mandragora. It's like Madriga. It's like, what? So we're going to be talking about that Mask episode of Doctor Who. It is the beginning of season 14. This is Elizabeth and Tom at their best. It is great. The chemistry between the two of them was amazing. So we are going back to the wonderful year of 1976 to talk all about it. And got a great crew to talk about it as well. Of course, we have our regulars here. So let's say hey to Melanie Dean.
Hello. I guess I'm the warmest of everybody that's broadcasting tonight, even though it's only a balmy 41 degrees.
Ooh, wow. Get the suntan lotion. We're going to go to
I know, right?
Exactly. Then we could sit outside for sushi tonight. It'll be great.
Oh, no.
So it's awesome. But we also are joined by Mary Ogle.
Hi, everybody. It is fantastic to be here.
And last but never least, Mr. Howdy himself, Mr. Mike Gordon.
Howdy.
We are ready for this wonderful storyline, and we definitely are ready to hear from you. Feedback at earthstationwho.com is the best way to get in touch with us. And if you're watching us or listening to us, please like and subscribe. It's the best way we could do it. And also make sure that you get our new episodes. And we're coming to you all the way through this year. We're not just waiting until new episodes of Doctor Who are coming, because if that was the case, who knows when we would talk to you guys next. So
who knows?
Exactly. Who knows? And it's interesting. We saw that in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like, oh, that was
Sarah.
Yeah, exactly. It was just like, oh, well, that's interesting. So it was a lot of fun, and we've got some great stuff to do. So we're going to jump in with both feet. As we said, we're going back to, let's see when this was, September 1976. This aired in 4 episodes, and I think it was 1 episode too long once again. And we'll talk all about it. Let's start. Let's get initial thoughts from the crew. Mary, what was your initial thought on this one? Have you seen this one before?
I had not seen this one before. At least I don't remember it, to be honest. The storyline's kind of forgettable. But it was great to see Tom and Elizabeth again. The chemistry between them is amazing. I loved just watching them run around, and run around they do, back and forth about 50 times. Too much filler.
And they're not captured. They're captured and they're not.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, it's kind of ridiculous. But, to me, it was very kind of middle of the road. It's fine. It's not horrible. It's not great. But it's certainly worth watching just for Tom and Elizabeth.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Mr. Mike, what about you?
I've seen this one before. I did a rewatch of all the Tom Baker episodes, stories, quite some time ago. So,
yeah, I remember you. That was like 10 years ago or so.
I mean, it was, yeah. I mean, so while I didn't remember this one in great detail, because to Mary's point, it's okay, but yet it's still in its own way great. Like, Tom is, we're celebrating I guess it was just last year, right? That we're celebrating the 50th anniversary of when he first started as the Doctor, right? So, because he started in 74, and this is in 76. So he's well underway. He's good. And Sarah Jane's just one of my favorite companions, probably my favorite companion of all time. She's great in this. I think the rest of the cast is really solid as well. I really like the fact that it's set in a like a Italian city, and what they did to get around that, even though they were still filming in Britain, was pretty unique and cool. And we'll talk more about that. But I like the look of it. I like the rest of the cast. I thought it was really like I was never bored while watching this. Yeah, there's the back and forth, but it still kept moving to me, and I really enjoyed watching this one again.
Okay. Mel, what about you?
When it comes to all the classic episodes, I think this is one of those kind of quintessential ones that I would highly recommend for people to watch because the pacing and the storyline and the way things are filmed, um, again, I know like for a modern audience, yeah, you could probably push this down to 3 episodes because we pace a lot faster. We talk a lot faster. We kind of, all those little micro nuances are captured on a camera, and you could still see in this era there's a theatrical background. So the camera, everything's a little wider. You're not too crazy intimate on the camera and the actor. I last time I saw this was probably when I was little with my father, so I kind of remembered some things. So this was almost watching it anew, and I really, really enjoyed it. I really, as everyone's already kind of mentioned, the chemistry is already there between Sladen and Baker. They had a really great cast. All the supporters were really, really brought it home, and even the location. Um, it wasn't too bottle episode-y with having to be on set all the time, that they really enjoyed being outside and being in different places. Um, and honestly, I did like seeing the second Doctor's console at the very beginning with good old Sarah Jane picking up the recorder and just starting to play. So
Oh yeah.
that was a neat
I,
little thing at the beginning.
I love how they found like Pertwee's jacket and shirt in there. I love the secondary control room. I always thought that was a
I
really
do. I like it too. Shame on uh, Robert. What's the guy that comes after Hinchcliffe? Garrett Roberts, right?
yeah.
That that said, no, I'm gonna change it back, and I'm like, because I love this TARDIS,
hmm And
this
it's nice
interior.
because there's not as many moving parts to break down on this one. You don't have the thing going up and down, up and down. And
Yeah.
you had instead a shaving mirror right there,
Yeah. And
which is
them just walking through the TARDIS and him saying, "Oh, well, that's just a boot cupboard." And her just kind
yeah.
of looking, going, "Oh, that's a lot bigger." And yes, today's audience, we can look at it and say, clearly you're like in the warehouse or what have you, because there's double doors back there and the TARDIS just has the little round things for the walls. But
hmm
it's nice to see the TARDIS having rooms and corridors and having fun with infinite spaces.
hmm It's like, Sarah, you're so human. Why do you have to think so, how big is it? It's just like, I don't know why I put up with you humans, just like
Because you like us.
exactly. It was cute. The interaction between Tom and Elizabeth was great in this one. It is just that they play so well off of each other. And actually, this is the second to last episode with her, storyline with her, because Hand of Fear is next.
And my
And,
understanding was that she specifically stayed on because she knew that this story was coming, and she wanted to be part of it. So I'm glad, because the more we get with Elizabeth, the best, the better. It's so I'm glad she stuck around, and yeah, unfortunately, she's out the door pretty quickly after this. But wow, she's just great.
Mhm. She is, from her getting kidnapped in the very first episode, but to her being hypnotized to kill the doctor, getting captured once again, and of course, getting captured a third time and getting chained to the wall. It was just like, okay.
Well, her rescue was utterly brilliant when she's just laying there, and I'm thinking, is she hypnotized? What's kind of going on? That she's drugged or whatever, and that she just gets pulled away, like doctor coming
Pulled right off the altar. I love that. It was just like, and it's like I loved it because the doctor shows up right at the nick of time, as always.
Oh, sure.
One of the things I loved about this is I got, partly a Pertwee feel from the doctor in this one, because, he wasn't afraid to fight against anyone. He flipped the guy. It was like, oh, his Venetian judo was back. And, so it's like, oh, this is cool. He's channeling the third doctor.
Tom's stunt double was working hard on this story. Like, he was put to work, like in the first, especially the first 2 episodes.
Oh yeah, the sword fighting and
the horse.
running. Oh, the horse when he jumped on the back. Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but
voice maker to knock to scare the horses.
Well, it's after that too where he starts running around the village and everything, and he's trying to get away. And I'm sorry, but every time I see Tom run, I don't know if he does this intentionally. Maybe he doesn't. But I'm just think of Harpo Marx. I mean, I cannot help it. I mean, he's just got a Harpo Marx look to him that it just looks so funny.
Is it the curly hair? No.
I mean, it's the curly hair, it's the long jacket, it's like the whole look. So by the way, I misspoke. It wasn't the producer that came after Hinchcliffe was Graham Williams. So I want to make that clear because we'll get people who
we'll get
shouting at us right now.
Yeah,
saying,
exactly. Email for it.
Yeah, stupid Mike. But yeah. So
Gordon, not Faber. Just remember. No.
Hey, I corrected it. So
no, that's understandable. But yeah, it's interesting. I liked it. The villain was like, meh, it was like so generic. And, the energy being at first, frying the people. It was just like, yeah, whatever. It didn't have any effect on me. And, I liked this, the politics of it. It was interesting, the mad cousin or uncle who was, trying to take over the kingdom, and, the good, progressive, son of the king who's, at the very beginning, the king was killed mysteriously, type thing, so the political intrigue was there, maybe, could be. So, but what made it for me this episode, like you said, was the scenery, was the setting, was gorgeous. The castle, especially on the outside, inside was generic castle, pretty much. So, and I read the same thing that you probably read, Mike, about, how it was set. It was actually filmed in England, but they did a great job at representing the castles and such in Italy.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very unique spot in Wales, Portmeirion, and that's why they used it. If it looks familiar to people, that's where they filmed almost all of The Prisoner. So I kind of half expected to see like Patrick McGowan like popping around like around the corner or something,
or a giant bubble type thing.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
it'd be awesome.
He is a number. He is not a number. Like he's so. And that's some cool sort of synergy there with another popular British science fiction-ish show, right? I guess it's kind of fantasy science fiction. I don't know what The Prisoner is, just its own thing.
Yeah. It's a good way to put it, actually. But it's interesting because, like I said earlier, I thought it moved really nicely. I thought it was a great, very entertaining all the way through. But I did say it could be one less because I didn't need to see them being captured over and over and over again. And it could have worked easily as a 3-parter, I think.
it's your typical filler episode. How many filler episodes have we watched where they're running back and forth and getting captured and recaptured? Whenever they don't know what to do, that's what that's what the script calls for. And it actually, I mean, I disparaged the script in the beginning, and it's not a horrible script. It's just not quite as fleshed out as it could be. But I mean, I like the theme of religion versus science, which is certainly
Mhm.
timely
Oh,
even
very much,
today.
very much so. And it was, even more so because this is, what, the 1500s.
Mhm.
And, they were finally, you know, trying to figure out, is the earth round? The stars are not orbiting around the earth anymore, or the sun is not, or, this is when people are starting to realize, and it's, religion was trying to fight against that, so it was
It
real
was.
interesting.
And it being in Italy, it's still city states. So everyone had their own separate ruler there. And within there, I mean, yes, all of them kind of went to whatever Pope happened to be in power at the time, but still there was still a little bit more of independent thought, there was independence between each city state, and not just the whole of Italy or the whole of, the papal empire.
Right. No, exactly. And, and there was so much, like I said, there was a lot of political intrigue in this one and such. So I thought it was pretty cool, very well done that way. And the characters were very generic right out of, your typical, Gilded Age type stuff and, type thing. And it was, it was an okay story, but, you know, if it didn't have Tom and Elizabeth in it, I think it would have been so much worse. Think of having Colin and Perry or something in this.
Oh God.
Oh no.
Jeez, man. Look, I think I don't know. I liked you've got the guy who plays Count Federico. I thought it was really solid. He was chewing up scenery. Or those like big like he made himself look with him, and that wig just made him look like twice as large as he is. Uh, you've got Giuliano and Marco, who, man, this time I'm watching it, I'm like, oh, they're gay. Like
Oh,
they've got a,
they are
and I'm
Oh,
like,
it's
couple.
really obvious.
and I'm
That's how I
like,
saw it
couple.
coded.
I'm like, how did I miss
I mean,
this
it was
before?
barely coded.
I know, it's just
I
like,
mean,
this is amazing that I mean, I don't know how that got by, like how that got through, because I was just shocked. I was like, they're obviously a couple. I mean, they are really, really obviously a couple here. And I don't know if I've ever seen that, depicted like this before. So I thought
well,
that was, and look, it's a costume drama. The BBC churns these things out like, especially around that time, they churn them out like nothing. I mean, that's what they do. They breathe costume dramas. And just, I found like nobody does it better. Like they just are so good at it. They can just, all these actors are, they're skipping town. They're doing Shakespeare like one day, and then they come over and do Doctor Who, and they're dressed the same, and they're treating it the same way. They're treating the material the same way, and it just adds uh, like a consistency to it and a solidness to it that I think is missing a lot of times when I watch other stuff from this time period or even today.
Mhm. No, I do agree with that. And, I thought I loved the robes. I thought that was really the masks were gorgeous. They were really well done.
yeah, it was
And
nice that they weren't all the same.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
and they could. And one thing I thought was hilarious is that there's one bit where Tom is masquerading as them, and I was just like, did they make all those masks look like Tom's face? Because it looks like he's just blending in and he doesn't have a mask.
Exactly. They all have toothy grins and everything like that. It was interesting. I did like the character of Hieronymus, I think is how do you pronounce it?
Yes, Hieronymus.
And he was interesting because he was basically the alchemist the soothsayer basically, and able to read the stars, and he was the consulate to the count, and it was just I found that interesting, and I love the scene when he finally turned, was taken over by the energy, and the count went up and ripped his mask off, and it was just the energy was in there. You didn't see him anymore, and that was really well done. I thought that was
Yeah,
good.
and I thought the
Yeah, that
effects
was a
in
good
this
scene.
overall were pretty well done. I mean, yes, we could tell it's like a little close up of a sparkler, like, painted red, like, or whatever, like, moving around. But I really,
Oh,
I
when they
think,
put their arms out and to get the power, and you could see the sparklers.
yeah, exactly. I think, but, it's got that, oh, I love the Hinchcliffe era. That's why I think I'm hard pressed to think of, like, I mean, if we ever do that episode on showrunners, I mean, Philip is like top for me, I think, and because he brought there's a bit of, and I've always mentioned that there's a little bit of hammer horror here, right? Like
Mhm.
when Sarah Jane gets she's at the altar and they're dressing her up and they're all like, that stuff looks like it could be in a a hammer horror movie. The way that this being attacks at random, and the effects of what that looks like, that's pretty gruesome, especially for that time period. Like, I thought that was well done. The only thing I think they kind of dropped the ball on, and to his credit, even Hinchcliffe has said later on that they kind of, the last like confrontation between the doctor and the main priest there, Hieronymus, right? I
Mhm.
Yes.
think just kind of like it. You don't know what happens. They cut away from it, and I get it. They cut away from it because they want us to be surprised later on when it's revealed. But it just it kind of like you're kind of building to that moment where you've got these two beings of power going up against each other, and we don't get to see it, and that's a little disappointing. I think they kind of did drop the ball there on the last act there, the last confrontation there.
Well,
It,
exactly. And it was interesting when, the energy being Hieronymus, um, Androgeda, whatever you want to call it, was confronting the Time Lord finally and calling the Doctor for who he was.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
cool.
that was great. That was really
And
awesome.
then it cuts
And
away.
it cuts away. And
Yeah,
so
they
you
totally,
don't know.
yeah, you're right.
or even during the
You
fight,
don't know out of there.
they went so close up with and it was static with the mask,
Yeah.
and it only kind of, I mean, it was like really, I mean, the whole frame was just it, and it was stuck here, and it was static, and the only thing that made me realize that one connecting the dots that the doctor was saying he was going to absorb the power, diffuse the power, what I forget what the word he actually used, um, was that at that end it kind of went kind of on and off a little, it kind of faded, but I agree with you, Mike. It's just it even though it kind of faded, it then went black.
Yeah,
And yeah,
Yeah.
it
Yeah,
would have
it's
been
very
nice to do
exactly.
something more.
anticlimactic.
Yeah, because they
Exactly.
wanted to make it a surprise. So
Yeah.
they didn't want us to see what had happened in the confrontation, which, I mean, that's a choice. It's a cheaper choice.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I think
But it's also like, did the
it was,
doctor did he let all those people get killed? Because
well, yeah, he did let all those
He
people
did.
get
Yeah,
killed.
and they were fancy people. They were
yeah,
higher up fancy
Yeah.
people. So I was like, Leonardo, are you okay?
I
Because
know,
I
I
would
would have been,
that
that
room.
would have been the first thing I'd say. Leonardo, are you okay? Like, make sure you're okay, because otherwise a lot of stuff is going to not happen.
Well, he had issues with the submarine design. Maybe that's the reason why.
Yeah.
But
Or
yeah,
Well, you
Michelangelo didn't get
you
invited.
can't name drop like that too and not have that payoff. Like, that's
no.
another thing too, where it's kind of like they keep mentioning him, that he's there and all that, and we don't get to see him, and it's just like, I mean, that's something that wouldn't happen in New Who. If they name drop like that, you would see him at the end or something.
Well, you do
So,
get to meet Leonardo in was it City of Fear?
yes, I think
Yes.
we do. Right.
Yeah, because all the Mona Lisas and everything.
Mhm.
And so,
Yeah, yeah. It's not City of Fear. That's it's called something else, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the one. It's the one with the Jagger off.
Yeah, it's the one where they're. It's the
Yeah.
one where they're in, yeah, another, not one
Oh,
in London, right? It's not. It's not
yeah.
England. They're in
No,
Paris.
they actually go to Paris in that one. So it was actually pretty cool. But yeah, it's interesting that we, get a lot of, name drops in this one. And, you know, I love how Sarah says, "So did you meet Leonardo?" "Oh, no, 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 Sarah. I'd have
Yeah, he's right.
to,
Never meet your heroes.
exactly."
Well, he
So,
mentions he
yeah.
name drops Galileo at one point. Not that
Yep.
Galileo's there, but he's like, 10 years from now, Galileo will create
A
a
telescope.
telescope that will be much more useful than this.
Yes. And
But I like the idea that this is set in the 15th century and that it's like right on the brink of the Renaissance, and that's why the Mandragora, right,
yeah,
is targeting this time period because after the Renaissance, like we come out of the Dark Ages, humanity comes out of the Dark Ages and really starts to flourish after that. Um, and so I think, I wonder, do we know if it's been followed up? Because they do leave that open, or they say at the end that, like, oh, 500 years from
500
now.
years. Yep.
And I'm thinking, okay, well, if that's like something that they could follow up with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nope.
Nowish.
Never. Big Finish
Yeah.
never even touched
Are
this
they,
one.
did they successfully predict that we're back in the Stone Ages now? Is that what they did?
Yeah. Well, anyway. Oof, wow, this is getting, yeah. So, any final thoughts before we go ahead and rate this one?
I have one gripe to pick or to make, and that is out of all of this, the doctor's reward was half a salami. Because if you look at
So
it,
excited.
it was huge. That's a good size of salami. That's a good Genoa, but it was cut on the end. I'm like, the man didn't even get a whole one.
He might have eaten the other half already.
And the sandwiches weren't even invented yet, so I don't believe. Because the roll
Yes.
sandwich hadn't done his thing to demand 2 slices of bread and some meat at a poker game.
I would not be surprised if the doctor helped invent the sandwich.
Oh,
Well,
I would.
Almost certainly.
Oh, of course. But
I
yeah,
mean, what else is he going to do with the salami?
my only gripe about the special effects really in this one was the I guess the whirlpool or something they had at the beginning that the TARDIS was being sucked in. It was a
That was
drain.
cool.
It was a drain, and the image was turned on its side, so it looked like to me
Yeah.
it looked like a black hole. It's like, okay, this is like
Hey,
real bad
I thought that was
special effects
innovative.
101.
Yeah, I mean, you work
The
with what
camera
you
above
got.
and it's
you
true.
know?
It's true.
They
I mean,
chromed it. It was just like, oh my God. That was like video 101 for us when I was in college.
yeah, but that was 20 years after,
Yeah.
10
There's
years
a big-
after this,
There's
man.
a big
Yeah.
difference.
Okay, fine.
I mean, this
I will
is
say-
BBC budget, 1976, right? I mean, before Star Wars is out. Come on. I mean, these are great special effects for the time.
I was
Yeah, I
trying to
know.
figure out when the sparkler, because we all know that the sparkler was made like red, so you have the ruby lit over it. It's superimposed. They got to Italy, it's flying through a bunch of brushes and stuff. And I was literally trying to figure out how I was going through the brush because they made the brush move. And I was staring at it to see if it was a person moving it or if they had a stick or something moving it because the camera was going on a good little jaunt. I'm like,
Mhm.
so I was just thinking they really had to put some time and effort on hiding all of this brush to moving, all of this foliage moving, keeping the camera going without having that tell of, oh, there's the stick or there's this. I was actually kind of impressed.
I watched the DVD and they've got a bonus thing at a couple of bonus features at the end, including a very cool one about the history of the TARDIS over the years through Classic Who, and that was pretty cool. But to your point, Mel, they do talk about the special effects and how they use the sparkler, and it's a double exposure, so the sparkler's not
Yeah.
actually there.
Oh yeah,
So,
Oh, we knew that.
so
that I
the
knew.
but what impressed me was when the sparkler or the effect of the alien, the energy comes down and hits the water, and then skims the water and attacks the guy. Like there's a
Mhm.
lot of stuff at play there. Both that was practical effects that they used like in camera and then
Mhm.
having superimposing the sparkle effect on there. I'm like, that is tricky stuff.
Hmm.
And I thought they pulled that off really, really well.
Or even like
So
for me,
I,
the
I give them
sword
credit for
burning.
that. Oh yeah, that was cool too.
That was, and then finally the guy
And
ignites
you
and he
think
has
about it,
lazy
that's only
body.
on
Right.
screen for like 5 seconds.
Yeah, but it was cool. The sword melted literally,
Yeah,
It
and then
did.
that was really well done. It was just
Yeah.
like,
I
okay,
would have been like showing that in slow motion, like we're getting all we can out of this because
yep.
this looks pretty badass. But
Like look what he
yeah,
did.
oh
all
yeah,
that work
and
and
that
boom.
probably took half the budget of the year, right there for special effects.
Well, they did say that what took most of the budget was traveling, because even though they weren't going out of the country, they were still going outside of London. They were going to Wales, so that was 2 travel days. So that's why later on we get a bottle episode. I think the next one is not the next one, but the robot one is coming up. What's the one with Leela and the robots?
Androids of Death.
That one, I think.
Yeah,
Yes, that's the one that. So that one is completely studio. Like, there's
yeah,
no outside shots in that one. I don't think so.
yeah.
Um,
Because I know Hand of Fear, they were mostly in a quarry most of the time. Yeah,
But they're in a quarry a lot of the time
they are, they
anyway.
are, and
they
there's no
are.
quarry in this.
No, no, there isn't.
No.
No, the outside shots were gorgeous in this.
I'll
Again,
even say another part of the budget went to when the nephew, I've already forgotten, not Federico.
What, Giuliano?
Yeah,
Giuliano.
Juliana. When they had him and the doctor have the sword fight, doctor grabs and they go into the catacombs. The costume, he actually put blood on his shoulder,
Mm.
and then he has to
Oh,
kind of
yeah, that
bandage it up.
surprised me. And I'm like, oh my God, they never show blood.
No,
I
and you
know.
ruined a good costume on top of it.
It's washable, I'm sure.
But also, I mean, my favorite part is Marco is supposed to be horribly tortured, which, by the way, this does go to some dark places. And then Marco's like, oh, I'm just fine, walking around, perfectly happy.
I'm
Fine.
sorry, they made me renounce you, my lord. It's like, and they had the hot pokers sitting right there.
Right there. But nope, he's fine.
He's fine.
No chance of
Yeah.
infection in 15th century Italy.
In the bonus stuff, they talk about how during that scene, and actually the guy who plays Marco, they interviewed Tim Pickett Smith, he's an accomplished actor. He's been in tons of stuff. If you've watched anything that Britain's done over the last 50 years, he's in there somewhere. But anyway, he was mentioning that it was really tough to get through that scene because as he was being tortured over on the other side, on the other wall is Tom, and Tom was making everything difficult. He was just cutting him up all the time, so there was actually a scene that they filmed that he was supposed to get actually we were supposed to see the torture, like him get it branded with a big S, and Tom just was like making fun of it and everything like that, and they couldn't get the shot well enough, so they didn't put it in the probably
That's
also
probably
standard
just
practices
as
was like
well,
that's pretty
actually.
brutal, but
Probably.
Yeah.
anyway, but that's a fun little sequence too, but
Yeah.
like I said, I think the quality of the actors was really, really
Oh, I
great.
have no complaints about
I
that.
do wish that they had given, because I think Federico is the villain in the first two, and maybe even like a lot of the third episode, and then he kind of meets his end unceremoniously. Really, it just all of a sudden, boom, he's gone. He's gone, and then we get Hieronymus as the main bad guy, but he's just not up to like they just don't give him enough, I don't think, and it does kind of fall apart, I think, at the end, but I think it's pretty solid otherwise.
Agreed. All right, let's go ahead. 1 out of 5 TARDISes, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. Mr. Mike, you got to go first tonight.
Ooh, I'm teetering between a 3.5 and a 4 because it's just, I mean, this is my jam. This is like Tom Baker, Elizabeth Sladen, Philip Hinchcliffe, Robert Holmes is doing the editing, so the stories are always solid. Like it's just fun. Yeah, they're going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But you know what? That means we get more episodes and more stuff, more interplay between Tom and Liz. So I'm okay with that. The rest of the acting is solid. So we'll say 3.75 TARDISes just because I don't know if I could raise it to a 4 because there are definitely some better ones. But I think this is really, really solid stuff. And to Mel's point, I wouldn't, if this is their first viewing of Doctor Who, I wouldn't mind putting this one in. It's not maybe the best one to watch, but it's not embarrassing.
Okay, that's fair. Mary.
I'm going to go 3.5. I mean, it started dragging for me along the third episode, and like Mike said, the ending is really kind of anticlimactic. They had such potential, and they just ruined it. It was sort of like, when you take the mask off Darth Vader in the original way they did it, and I'm like, okay, that is wow. The biggest moment in cinema, and you just totally dropped the ball. But yeah, but the acting is really good. The side characters are good. Watching Tom and Liz is just such a pleasure. I loved every moment with them. And so it's worth watching. I'm not sure, frankly, I probably wouldn't watch it again, not because it's horrible, but there are just a lot of better episodes with them in it. But it's fine. It's not bad. So 3.5.
Okay. Mel.
I'm actually going to rank this at 4, and I would actually go higher, but it is, when it comes to all of Tom's episodes, it's not like the greatest one. And when it comes to if I go through all of classics and I'm telling people, hey, here's all the amazing classic ones you have to go, I would actually put this one in here because I really like that they had an ensemble cast. I've noticed that any of the other classic episodes that are 4 parts, to me, they don't have enough characters. And that's what kind of gets me a little bit more bored than anything, is that I'm not seeing the motivations changing and changing and changing. Here, I think we had enough players where it kind of changed. You had different motivations to Mike's point, where the beginning was Frederico's kind of like the bad guy, and by the 4th episode, because once he's gone, it's Hieronymus / whatever he's turned into. But by that point, we're now noticing that the right hand man, the guard, like I guess you could say the captain of the guard, I don't recall his name, but he became more prevalent. So I really like the heck out of this, and I hate to say it, but I compare everything to Ghostlight now, and this is a 4, baby.
Wow.
Ooh, it's a 20 compared to Ghostlight.
Exactly, we're going up. I mean, my favorite Fourth Doctor companion is Liz and Harry. And then second, it's just him. It's Baker and Liz. So I'm at a good solid 4, and I bet you I've watched this again, I'd probably go up a little higher.
Wow. Okay. All right. I'm going to do a 3.5 for this one. I enjoyed it, but same thing. I think Mary said, I don't know if I'll go back and watch this. This is only the second time I've seen this one. I watched it probably back when I first discovered Doctor Who back in the early 80s, and watched it, at night on PBS. And I remember okay, it was fun, but it never left a lasting mark on me like some of the Tom Baker stories, which I've watched probably close to a dozen times. So there's just, it was good. Scenery was gorgeous. The story moved, and I just couldn't get over capturing and releasing, capturing and releasing, capturing and releasing. It got old after a while. None of the supporting characters left any mark on me or anything. And I'll basically think, you know what? This is fun. This is good. I do recommend people watch it for, consistency value of, if you're trying to be a Tom Baker completist. And I love the introduction of the secondary control room. I love that. That actually brought it up from a 3. seeing that and everything. And so, and it was neat because you had the door, you can go right out right from there. So it just shows whatever control room you're in, that's where the door exits out in the TARDIS.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't, because Doctor Who.
Exactly. And so I definitely would love to hear what you guys at home thought. Feedback at ourstationwho.com is the best way to get in touch with us. We definitely are moving forward with the seasons already. We don't know when Shudi's going to be back as the new Doctor, and with the new season, anywhere from March to May. So have a dartboard, throw it at your calendar. You could be more lucky to figure that one out than maybe BBC even knows right now. So we will be here. We'll be back every 2 weeks, as always. If you made it this far into the podcast, thank you. Please give us a thumbs up. Give us a like. This is how we get, the algorithms find us and everything. And if you want to keep up with us, subscribe. No matter how you're watching or listening, please subscribe. We would love it. Rate us. Give us 5 stars. Give us, a thumbs up. Whatever you do, please, thank you. Our YouTube numbers are up. Thank you for everyone who's looking at these beautiful faces. I know there's a Melanie Dean fan club out there somewhere, so it's really cool. So it's always awesome.
I needed that.
So it's kind of cool with that. So definitely would love, for you guys to do that. Let's thank our crew for being here, of course. Ms. Mary Ogle, thank you as always.
Oh, thank you. I had a lot of fun.
How can people find your work?
They can find me at maryogle.com or on Etsy at eVision Arts.
Excellent. And Mr. Mike Gordon, thank you as always.
As always, it's my pleasure.
What's going on over at Bat Chums?
Bat Chums, we are just starting the 2nd season. We did the whole first season, all 34 episodes. Then we recorded a review of the movie, which just came out over the holidays. And now we are on season 2. And Drew and I are having just as much fun. It opens up a lot because a lot of the villains that were created just for the series are now appearing. So now it's a lot. Some of them are better than others, but it's always fun. So we're having a good time doing that.
Very, very nice. And Ms. Melanie Dean, always wonderful to see you.
And I'm always ecstatic to be, especially now, to be part of the crew.
Oh, very much so. So you're going to be at MegaCon in a couple weeks.
I know. Didn't realize it's less than a month away.
I know. Isn't it scary?
They sent out a table. They did send out table numbers. I have not gotten mine, but I will be in Artist Alley. But yes, Super Bowl weekend, I'll be at MegaCon. Come find me.
Yay! And she'll be schmoozing with the Doctor Who people and everything. So
I'll have a lot of Doctor Who art. But you can follow me at Piecesofmelee, and you can always message me there or interact with me and tell me exactly, why you, for some reason, like Ghostlight. I don't know. We can talk Doctor Who.
And it's fighting words.
Give her some alcohol and talk about it, so it's perfect.
Tell me what you loved about this episode.
Exactly. We definitely would love to find that out. So definitely, my stuff, of course, this wonderful show, but then also, of course, Tales from Hollywoodland, and of course, Julian Schlossberg's Movie Talk, where this week we are talking to actress Christine Baranski. And
cool.
Oh, wow.
So it's very cool, and we are just having a ton of fun, and we got some good stuff going on over there. Definitely find us wherever fine podcasts are found. It's some great stuff happening. But, folks, thank you for everyone who's been listening, everyone who's been watching. Thank you, guys. 2025 is going to be a big year for us. And, this is the year of growth for everybody. And we've got bigger and better things for us all. So until then, my name is Mike Faber. On behalf of Mary, Melanie, and Mr. Mike Gordon, thank you so much. We will see you next time on Earth Station Who. Stay safe, stay warm, and peace be with ya. Bye.
You have been listening to Earth Station Who, a pop culture podcast dedicated to all things Doctor Who, featuring talents from throughout space and time. All topics on the show are the sole opinions of the individuals and are to be used for entertainment value alone. You can subscribe to our show wherever fine podcasts are found, or check out our website, earthstationwho.com. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook or Instagram, and if you enjoyed the show, please write to us at feedback@earthstationwho.com. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you on the next journey of Earth Station Who.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping at the TeePublic store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.